really excited. This is, I've lost track. I think this is the 5th event of the Make Room Tour. And I see a couple ladies here who have been to other events in the Make Room
Okay.
Tour. We have really had us a time since, what was it, end of July. Every
Mhm.
month since then, we have been working to create these spaces for us to come together and discuss topics, get our hands involved with topics that mean something to us, that bring us light, that bring us joy. Because as we
Mhm.
all know, as we all know, the world will make room for things that are unpleasant, will make room
Yeah.
for things that are stressful, that will make room for things that, will take the light from our eyes.
Mhm.
And so with this tour, I really wanted to be able to give us a space to create that room, to be intentional about creating space for creativity, for creating space for rest and relaxation, for creating space for sisterhood. And that's what we're going to be here discussing tonight. Oh, I love all these people trickling in. I love it. So tonight we are here with the one and only Valencia Joy. Hopefully she will be able to pop back on camera. Zoom was hating today with our audio visual, but we'll catch it. We'll get it together. But we are going to talk a little bit about sisterhood. Hopefully, you all were able to get my email from earlier today, and it had 2 things in it. One was a kind of like like a worksheet on friendship, and then the other one was a template. Virtual vision board that you can use to create your vision board with friendships. If you want to do a virtual one, you can do a regular physical vision board if you'd like. But I just wanted to send that template off for you to have so that you can use Canva to kind of get it going. So I think what I want to do before I kind of jump in with Valencia and everything, I would love, since it's kind of an intimate group, I would love for us to just kind of do a little bit of introduction, especially since most of us are on camera. And I just, would love for us to kind of say, our names, where we're from, and what we're hoping to get out of the conversation tonight, like where we are in our friendship journey, what's on our mind as we're thinking about our friendships and that support that we have going into 2023. So I will, oh, it's August's birthday. Hey, Alicia. Um, I'll start. I'm Tara. I'm the founder of the Self Care Suite. Thank you so much for finding me, finding this event, and hopping on to learn something and make connections, make new friends. I am in Northeast Ohio. Been here my whole life. And I really wanted to do this because the pandemic, especially, has had me just really analyzing my friendships, analyzing the support that I have in my life, analyzing the support that I'm able to give out. I feel like my capacity is much smaller these days. So I'm trying to be much more intentional about my friendships and how I show up and how they show up for me. So that's why I created this event. That's why I'm here. Let's see, Miss Denise, would you like to go next?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm ready. Hi, ladies. My name is Denise Brown, and I'm from Cleveland. Grew up in Cleveland and also in Fairmont, West Virginia. And I hopped on because I'm always looking forward to, meeting women, having beautiful conversations with women, uplifting, encouraging women. I love to go to lunch. I love to meet women for coffee, like Tara. We had lunch the other day, and that was amazing. And those are the types of things I like. I like to be there, if I can help out in any way, whether it's encouragement or whether it's giving somebody a hug or, whatever the case is. So that's one reason why I joined tonight's event.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Let's have Teresa.
Hello, ladies. I'm Teresa Strickland. I live in Georgia. I am an implant from Chicago, Illinois. I was born and raised in Chicago and came here for my oldest daughter who passed away last year. She wanted to be near her grandson. He was just a few months old, and she wanted him to know her, not through Zoom, not through FaceTime, but she wanted him to know her as a person. So we came here in 2015, and we've been here ever since. I say she passed away last year. So we stayed. And Georgia, I do prefer the weather because I have health issues. I'm retired now. I was a school secretary for 25 years, and now I'm retired. So the weather here is better. But I do find the people here to be very, very friendly. In the service industry are very, very friendly. And I came here because of, and I joined your group because of the friendship component. I've lost a few friends over the years, and I only had a few very, very close friends. And I am looking for a friendship, that same deep friendship that I've experienced in my life. I don't seem to find it as readily as I did years ago. You know, there's something out here that are, how should I put it? Women don't trust each other. They don't respect each other, and it makes me sad. It really makes me very, very sad because I've had some wonderful friendships throughout my life. So again, I'm on a quest.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I'm happy to have you here, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm happy to have you in the suite. Yeah, and hopefully that I can help you make those connections.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let's go to Kenya.
You see how I looked up? I had a feeling you were gonna call on me. I am Kenya. I am originally from Cleveland. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina now. I jumped on because this is right in line with one of the themes that I have had set for myself for the last 2 years, which is to cultivate more meaningful friendships and also tap into and pay attention to the qualities of being a good friend. I think when I kind of wrote that down in my journaling, I started realizing, like, you know how life will start showing you stuff when you put a name to it or whatever else. And I started realizing that I didn't know how to be a good friend, which is probably why I didn't have good, meaningful connections. And so I really like to be around people to see how they interact in their friendships and what I can learn about that. So this was spot on for that. And then also just to support two of my favorite people, yourself and V or Valencia. So it just all made sense for me to be here tonight.
And I'm happy you're here. You always make the events just a little bit brighter, a little bit better.
Oh, thanks, Tara.
Yeah. And speaking of brighter and better, Miss Maya, you're next up.
Hello, ladies. My name is Maya Watkins. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I know some of the ladies in the suite, so hi. Hey, Denise. I am so excited to be here, and the reason why I decided to join this this part of the tour was because I have long-term, long-standing relationships with my friends, some stemming back as long as second grade. But now that we have hit 50, and you would think that we have more time and we can travel, we should be spending more time together, we're not. So I'm looking for ways to, I guess, reconnect the friendships back to what they used to be, because it's still there. When we talk, we pick up where we left off, but I feel like we leave off, you know, we don't talk as much as we should. And I feel like we have more time. We got grandkids and stuff, but that shouldn't negate from us still bonding on our friendships and making them stronger. So the reconnection of old friendships, and I don't have a problem with building new ones. I'm built some here, so I'm really excited about that as well. So that's why I joined.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's see. Let's do Alicia.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I see some familiar faces in the group, so excited to reconnect with you guys again. I love all things that Tara does, so I knew that I had to make my way on one stop of the tour at some point, and so I decided to have this be the thing because it's really important to me to have like intentional friendships, to show up intentionally, to make intentional connections with people, and so I'm always on a quest, and I'm always curious if I'm like doing the best that I can to be an intentional friend and to cultivate intentional friendships. And so I'm really excited to see what more I'm going to learn and how I'm going to continue to build those connections into the next year. So excited to see y'all.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. Like I love doing these events. I just love seeing, all this beautiful, melanin on my screen. It fills me up. It really does. Let's see who we got next. Let's see. I should know how to pronounce your name, Miss, because you are always here, always smiling, always adding. Is it Taja? Tasia?
It's Taja.
Taja. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm Taja, like Taj Mahal. And I'm in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and I'm here tonight because I just want to be more intentional in my friendships, the ones that I think at this point, I don't really have any new friends. Like all my friends are, I think my newest friend is like a 10-year friendship. But just like we're in new seasons of our lives, so it can feel like we're missing the boat, or like we don't really know each other as well as we thought we did. And so I just want to be more intentional on pouring into my friendships, but also as I'm open to new friendships. So how do I go about making those connections and then being intentional in them as I'm meeting new people and taking a step from acquaintance to friend. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you. Let's see. Let's go to Samantha.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm in the DMV area, so in the Northern Virginia area in Woodbridge, Virginia. And I am here because I'm in this space where when it comes to making new friendships, I'm kind of seeing, okay, 1 minute I'll be like, we're going really close, and then seeing, okay, do I want to run that friend or what? Like what it looks like now, having friendships and making friendships, as just overall an adult. Because I find myself, it takes me a really long time to kind of just be open and develop with those friendships. So that is why I'm here today.
Yeah, relatable. Okay, relatable. Let's see, Kimberly.
Hello, everyone. So I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been here about 4 months now. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I moved from Akron. And I am here tonight because, like I told my friends who are all in Ohio, I need to make friends here in Charlotte since they won't move here. So, I want to be intentional about making friends, because making friends as an adult is very difficult for some reason. You can make associates, but I want to make those, those friendships that I have, like I have in Ohio. And then I also want to be intentional about making sure that I'm remaining connected to my friends and I don't feel a disconnect with them, because they are my core group and no one will replace them. But, I want to be able to make sure I have that balance.
Wonderful. All right, let's see, Aisha.
Sure. Hello. So yes, I am based in the Atlanta area, and I've been kind of passively following what you've been doing, Tara, over the years, and but this really stood out to me because, like this particular session, because I've been dealing a lot with isolation and loneliness. I am a caregiver for both of my parents, pretty much full time. I live with them. And so maintaining, I won't even say maintaining, my core group of friends who I had, who I met primarily in college, we are kind of split up and living different places, and some of those friendships, the quality has changed over time since graduation. So I'm looking for ways to form very specific types of friendships with folks who have a certain level of maturity, who can understand that I don't have the flexibility to be spontaneous and go on a road trip just at the drop of a hat, or, things like that. But who still are interested in investing the time that I do have, investing with me in that time to make solid friendships.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Yes. Again, very, very relatable. And I'm glad you're here. So thank you. Let's see. And then we'll wrap up with Simone before we go to Valencia.
Hi, ladies. I'm Simone. Sorry, I'm at work. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm so excited to hear about the talk for today. I have associates, but not really friends, and I'm trying to branch off and make friends, which is very difficult to do in the world we live in today. So I'm just excited about today. And then most of the time I'm at home with my children, so I don't really get out a lot.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you joining us from work. So feel free to have us, go on if you got to do something, go off camera or whatever. We'll be here. So thank you so much for everybody's introductions and everybody's vulnerability and sharing like where we are currently with our friendships. I know I can relate with a little piece of each of you. I feel like, really evaluating where we are with our friendships, thinking about this type of support that we need, being intentional about staying connected with the friends that we do have, moving to a different place and being in a different season and looking to go from just having associates to having actual real friends and support. I hope that in this conversation tonight, we can really get some knowledge about ourselves and the type of friendships that we crave, and then also do a little bit of matchmaking here to connect you with somebody else on the call, so that from here on out, you guys can connect and maybe begin to cultivate another friendship. So that is my goal for tonight. But I want to start off with Valencia Joy. I have my copy here of her book, I Met a Guy, and Other Things You Can Only Discuss with Your Sister Girlfriends. Everybody who got a ticket to tonight's event, you will be getting a copy of this book. If you don't know Valencia or V, she is hilarious, like effortlessly so, like she could be a stand-up. I feel like a stand-up comedian. She's just really, really funny. And this book is not only about, humorous situations in her life, but about how important a good group of sister girlfriends is. And I feel like she's the perfect person to write that book because she not only, experiences it, but she's able to just really capture it in such a authentic, honest, and funny way. So I don't want to jinx it, but Valencia, I don't know if you can come back on camera now, or if Zoom is still gonna hate.
Okay, I'm trying.
I know, fingers crossed.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Okay.
I've been over here just smiling and cheesing like a crazy person. So I'm glad my camera was off because I looked a mess. I'm like, everyone is just so beautiful and so honest and transparent and sharing. And I loved it. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, and this is your type of stuff because not only have you written this book, but you also have like I think I don't remember. I never remember where I met people. Like I just feel like you've always been in my life. But I know that one of the ways that you came to mind for me was through your Hey Sis meetups that you would host. So this is like right up your alley. This is something that you love. Just being able able to bring women together and have really good, soul stirring conversations.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit, tell me a little bit about why you decided to write this book, and what was kind of like the prompt for you in that.
So I started to write, period, because I felt like God was just placing it in my spirit to write. And at the time I was a single mom, my kids were young, and I'm going from like work to school to practice to games to whatever all the time. And I was kind of like, I don't have time for that. And I don't even feel like this is for me because life was so hectic at the time. But I decided to be obedient and just begin to write, making time to write, like, once the kids went to bed or whatever. I chose this topic because I wanted to write about what I knew. And what I know is no matter what I am going through, no matter what I am facing, my sister girlfriends have been there, even if it's not the same one for each instance, because as somebody said on here, like, things shift and people grow and people move and people whatever, but I've always been able to lean on my friends through every situation. And I had a lot of situations that I was writing about, but I was never alone. Even when I felt alone, they were there to make sure that my kids ate when I was so depressed I couldn't cook, or to make sure, like, girl, did you brush your teeth today? Because that's important, because sometimes you just sit in your mess and no one's there to remind you to do the simple things. And there's a story in the book about, I don't know how much you want me to talk, but there's a story in the book about being at two of my best friends' wedding when I knew that my marriage was ending because I had just found my husband cheating. So I'm watching love while my love is disappearing. And I excused myself to the restroom because I was like, just get it together, go back out there and celebrate them, and you can cry when you get home. But the minute, like, it was this long counter in the bathroom, and the minute I sat down at the counter, I started to cry. And I was like, okay, just a few tears. And then get it together and get back out there. But before I knew it, I laid my head on the counter and I just wept. And when I picked my head back up, three of my friends were there. I never heard them come in. They never said a word. But all they did was sit there with me. It wasn't like, why are you crying? What's going on? Da, da, da. Rub my back. Girl, one of them wiped my nose. I ain't had my nose wiped since I was a baby. Wiped my nose, wiped my face, and sat with me until I was ready to go back to this wedding. And that's why I felt the need to honor my friendships, honor the women in my life that have held me up when I couldn't do it. So that's why I chose that topic.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think, and your book is full of moments like that where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm at my lowest, but then it's also about those moments too, where it's like, okay, so this guy I'm talking
Yep.
to, he's cute, what y'all
Yeah.
think. It's also moments like that as well. And I think that one of the things that your book, one of the reasons why I wanted your book to be something that the women here would have in their hands is because it is a testament, I think, to what is possible. When you
Yeah.
talk about that incident in the bathroom and them just like you said, you didn't even hear them come in. But we have to be able to see that, because sometimes we have these experiences where we've been at our lowest and we've been alone. We've been
Yeah.
alone. And
Yeah.
knowing, okay, this is something that I want. I want to be able to have those relationships where, when I'm crying or I feel like I need to cry, I can do it in front of them
Yeah.
and feel okay and be
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Mhm.
So tell me, because in the book you talk about, you have a number of really good sister girlfriends. Tell me
Mhm.
about, when you were, maybe talked about like your best friend or like the friend that you've had the longest. And like, have you struggled with that like vulnerability piece where it's like, okay, I can be real with her. Has that always been there, or have you had to ease into it?
I think once I see a group of women, especially if they look like me, like right now, I could tell y'all everything. I only know you and Kenya, but the other 10, I could tell y'all everything because I just feel that, not, I know it's not always smart to do that, but I just feel that vibe of, okay, that's a sister girlfriend. I can talk to her. And as conversation flows, because I communicate, I'll end up saying everything. I've had to learn to pull back sometimes when it may not be the right situation or the right person, but generally speaking, I love to communicate. I love to hear your story. I love to tell my story, even the ugly parts, because I think isolation keeps us bound. And we shouldn't act like whatever we're going through is so specific to us that no one else has gone through. I ain't the only one whose husband cheated. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one whose girlfriend had to tell them brush your teeth. I'm not the only one. These things happen. So if I can be the representation that, hey, it happened to me. I laughed about it eventually. No one died. You can do this too. You'll get through it. Then I'll tell my story. As far as vulnerability goes, Takenya isn't my best friend, but she's one of my closest friends. And I'm only saying she's not my best friend because I don't know how she feels and I can't see her face. But I can be vulnerable with Takenya and tell her the things that might normally make me uncomfortable. And I feel like she shares with me as well, in being vulnerable. And I think that's something that we built from day one. You know what I mean? I think friendship, we have to view friendships the way we view any other ship that we are in. You have to build, you have to work at it, whether it's romantic, on your job, with coworkers to a certain extent, or with your boss, with your family as you grow older and the relationships shift and you become the adult version of you with your kids. Any relationship you have to work on. And every ship that you are in should be taking you somewhere. So if you're stagnant, reassess. Because I'm 41, I don't have time to be stagnant in my ships, any of them, but especially not my friendships, because those are, to me, the most valuable. They're there when the relationships leave. They're there when the kids graduate and go to college. They're there when you get fired or switch jobs, or, they're there when life happens. So I am a big proponent of nurturing those friendships and often reassessing and then communicating, like, I'm not happy right here. I've had to tell my best friend, like, this isn't working for me. It's not working for me. You're a great person. And girl, my wig is getting in the way. You are a great person. And, I love you. I love your family. But this is not working for me because it's not serving me right now. So how long should I starve in this friendship? How long should we just sit here? I forgot your question, but I hope I answered it.
No, you did. And I think the thing that you hit on, and it's something that I've had to really come to terms with myself over this past maybe decade or so, is how much I had put a priority on the romantic relationships over my platonic relationships. And it's like, okay, I got married and I'm trying to, build with this dude, and, we got these kids, and it's like, this is where my focus is. And meanwhile, meanwhile, some of my relationships over here, which I really value, and I think they're phenomenal women, phenomenal people. They have been there for me when he ain't acting right. You know what I mean? But I'm also not investing in those relationships as much as I could. And so I had to really take a hard pivot, I think, over the past, 2 or 3 years to really elevate my friendships and to say, okay, these are the women that I'm walking through life with. These are the women that are carrying some of the weight of my life. They are showing up for me. I have a best friend who is the best friend. I always say this, she's the best friend everybody should have, because she can, if I post something on Facebook or I post something on Instagram, she can catch that subtext like like nobody's business. Like she's like, how you really doing? You know, like she can zero in because she knows me.
Yes.
We have cultivated that friendship over a number of years, and been able to do it in a way that allows us to show up as who we are without judgment. And I think that is the backbone, of all real good,
Yeah.
friendships.
Yeah.
So yeah, you answered the question and you, yes, you answered the question perfectly. I think one more question that I want to ask before I kind of open it up to the group and we kind of do some group discussion is, how are you being intentional about nurturing those friendships? Is it something that you have, on your calendar? Is it something that you have like a every once a month girls' night out thing? How are you being intentional about nurturing those friendships?
I think for me, it's when I feel that pull, like what you were saying, your best friend, she notices stuff. So if I notice that we haven't talked in a while, and we normally do, if that's our normal thing, and I haven't heard from you, I'll definitely reach out. My life isn't set up to talk every day, to everybody, but when I feel that push or that pull, I definitely reach out. I am the type to want to go out to eat. Like, I think her name was Denise, says she likes to go to lunch and grab coffee. Like, that is me. Like, let's sit face to face and talk. Let me get a vibe for what's going on. And they do that for me. Like, I had just done this TV show for writers, and it did not go how I wanted it to go. So when I got back home to Cleveland, I kind of I got in the bed. Like, I wasn't talking to anybody. Turned my phone off, put my head under the covers, and just stayed there for a second. And they gave me a few days. And then it was like, get up. Come on, get up. Tell me what happened. How can we fix this? How can we get better for, the next whatever that you're going to do? Get up. Because they knew that for me, being quiet is not it.
Yeah.
So something is up. So being intentional is paying attention to their actions and their characteristics, and figuring out, once you know someone well enough, you know what you need, what they need,
Yeah.
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 And I also wanted to say, before you jump into questions, is that in order to build healthy relationships and build good friendships, whatever you need from that other person, you must first be that self for you. You need to know you and what you need and how you need it before you can ever communicate it or expect it from other people. And then you need to have them communicate back to you, like love languages. How do you feel best loved? How do you best feel comfortable so that you can be vulnerable with me, so that this is a two-way street? Because if I'm the only one ever vulnerable and you're fully locked, this is not a friendship. You're my therapist, and that's not it. So you first have to know what you want and how you want it, and be able to communicate it to other people. Otherwise, you're putting unfair expectations on other people.
Yeah. Well, that is perfect. That is perfect. I think what you said about the love languages. I just recently I take the quiz, the love language quiz, probably like once a year.
Do you?
I do, because over time I realized that my love languages have changed. Quality time is always usually number one, but my number 2 and 3 switch depending on where I am in my life. So quality time is always number one. It used to be words of affirmation. Now number 2 is acts of service. So I need you to do stuff for me, and that makes sense. I'm in a busier time, period of my life, like taking something off of my plate feels more loving than telling me how strong I am and I got it,
That's good.
Yeah, so I take that quiz just so I can assess where I am. And I don't necessarily have my friends take the quiz, but I think about them in those terms and think about who they are as people. Like I have one friend who is let me talk on the phone with you. Let's FaceTime unexpectedly. Like she
I
loves,
have one of those.
yeah, she loves to be like, hey, let's connect. I want to see you, etc. And I'm much more of a, okay, girl, you can send me a text and you can, let's schedule that FaceTime because I don't like, just having the phone, I'm not ready, for a FaceTime. So I will say to her, okay, girl, let's FaceTime around 3, like I'll be ready to talk at 3. I'll have my, hair done or whatever. And we can talk then. And it's just really about meeting your friends where they are.
Yeah.
So that you both are, like you said, you both are getting what you need. Because I could just be like, yeah, girl, let's just text all the time. And I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to do that. But then she's like feeling like the relationship isn't going deep enough, or she's feeling like this isn't really what I need. I need to see you. I like to be able to look you in the eye when I'm talking. So that is really important as well. And I feel like we didn't even plan this, but I feel like you hit the perfect segue into the next part of this. And I think I shared with you at the beginning, but a lot of you weren't on yet. Well, I'll just leave it like this. I emailed this to you earlier today. So check your spam, maybe if you didn't see it. And my purpose was in sending you this little worksheet. My purpose was I wanted you to sit and think about, your vision for your friendships in 2023, particularly as we are, I don't know, continuing, in this pandemic. Thinking about what our support needs look like in this upcoming year. And a lot of times when people sit down to do their vision boards, they just, cut out pretty pictures and they say, oh, this speaks to me, and they put it down. But one of the things that I've had to do before I do a vision board is I like to sit and think about, okay, what am I actually trying to manifest? What is it that I actually need? And then that way that's in my mind as I go through and I'm looking at the pictures and I'm, trying to pull things together. And so this is part of just some of the questions that I've asked myself as I'm thinking about my friendships. And these is also, a couple of these are questions from a woman. She's, I guess, like a friendship expert. Her name is Kat Velos, and she wrote the book We Should Get Together. And she has another book that's specifically about like pandemic friendship, which I think is really cool. But a couple of these are her questions that she has people ask as they're thinking about building their friendships. And so the first question that I would like to share or like to throw out to the group is thinking about that question of proximity. If we look at our friendships that we currently have, how close are they to us? I know the internet has allowed us to have, wonderful friendships with people who live in different countries, different states. But there is something about having those people who are close to us that we can reach out to and meet up, in a couple of days. We don't have to buy plane tickets and do all of that. So in thinking about proximity, how many of you have a local group of friends, 1 or 2, maybe 3 group of friends that you feel like, okay, this group of people, they're here for me. I feel it. It's local. I can reach out and touch them. Or are you all still searching for that and kind of hitting roadblocks in your attempt to build that local crew? Which is a lot. That's a loaded question.
Can actually speak to this with having moved out of state and leaving like the place, like you born and raised in Cleveland. for the Cleveland area, and all of my friendships were based there. And I didn't even take that into account when we moved out of state, like that I was leaving all my people behind until a couple months in. Like I was so excited about the move. A couple months in, I was like, oh shit, I ain't got nobody here. And so I'm in year 6 now, but for the first like 4.5 years, I really didn't have people. And then I also felt an extreme amount of loneliness because the people that I thought would stay in touch a little bit more from back home didn't. And I was angry for a little while when I first moved because I felt like everybody forgot about me just because I wasn't there anymore. And so I had kind of wrote everybody off to some extent. And that's part of what I had to realize about me being a crappy friend was like, everybody got stuff happening in their life. And I'm not at the top of everybody's list just because I packed up and moved out of state. In the last 2 years, I actually, before we moved to the house that we live in now, friendship was one of the things that I was like trying to be really intentional about. And I was just like thinking about what I wanted in my friendships, what I needed in my friendships, and whatever else. And it's so crazy because we moved here in a development that was newly built. And it is about 6 of us that actually look like me. So that was a big thing. Like I want people who understand what it means to be a Black woman. And we all live in the neighborhood and connect on so many different levels. We're different ages. We range from, I think, 26 to 60 something. But when I tell you, when we get together, like, I feel like I've known them my whole life. Like my birthday was last month, and this past weekend, they threw me a little birthday party. We did the puzzles, Tara, that you introduced to.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, let's do these puzzles. And they like ordered pictures of me custom, and they had made some of my favorite foods, and they had decorations in my favorite colors. And I was just like, dang, I feel like I've known them my entire life. And I felt so seen. I was just like, man, like, so I am thankful for that. And I try to not minimize that when I say I'm like looking for new friends, because I do want to meet, more people, but I think sometimes I often forget about like those connections too, because I can just get up some days if I'm frustrated at home and walk down to one of their houses and sit on the couch like, girl, let me tell you about this. So I think we have to be open too, because I don't think like in my 20s or 30s that these are people that I would have saw as like lifelong friends for whatever reason. And I think being at a different age now, I don't really care about people's age when it comes to friendship. It's a certain feeling I have to have. It's a certain level of maturity. There's a certain level of trust and comfort that I require. But everything else just really doesn't matter as much to me. And I think that's part of what's changing for me too in terms of friendship.
Yeah.
So proximity is nice to have. I think you need at least a couple of girlfriends that are local that you can go to the coffee shop with or go sit on their couch or whatever else. Because that crap was lonely for a couple of years, like torturous.
Yeah. And we talk about that isolation, like in the intros, like a couple of us mentioned, feeling isolated. And even if you've, lived in the area for a long time and you're like, wait, where did all my friendships go? Feeling isolated and lonely, like that's, it's part of the human condition, to seek connection and to feel like you're part of a larger community. And so for me, one of the things that I've started to do, because I realize I have a couple really good friends who are, out of state. I have one, my best friend from college and everything. She's in South Korea. So, I see her once every maybe 2 to 3 years, especially now with the pandemic. It's made it a lot rougher. She's not able to come back as often as she used to. And so for me, what I've been trying to do is think about, how I can help facilitate, especially through the self-care suite, how I can help facilitate some of that local matching of people. One of the things that I'm working on is to create these local chapters for the self-care suite, and to have, where there's, kind of already natural hubs of people. So in Cleveland, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in Brooklyn, in DC, to have, there's, 20 to 30 women in each of these cities already. So creating some type of little hub around the country. And hopefully I've been applying for grants all year, y'all. So please pray, fingers crossed, that some of these grants come through, because I want to make this a real, real chapters, like the chapter leads get paid, for hosting these events, and have money and have funds to actually have a paint and sip, or to actually have, we can go skiing together, or whatever, people in the community want to do. Because I do think that it's important for us to have that local proximity. It allows us to be able to be in touch, because listen, the people that I have who live 20 minutes down the road, I'm much closer to than my friend in South Korea. Like, it is what it is. And not to say that that relationship isn't still important to me and is not still valid, but we just are not in each other's orbit in the same way. And I think that that's okay. I want to try to get through a couple more questions, because we've been having really good conversations so far. I'm curious, when we're talking about friendships, do we know necessarily what we're looking for in friendships, and do we know where to look? I think those are two really important questions. I feel like when we're younger, it's so much easier, because we're just like, hey, they're in my class. They're in my first period class. They're in my second period class. We have lunch together. Like, it's much easier. And now, if we don't find somebody like in our workplace, or we don't find ourselves, we're not already like in a sorority or something, it's a lot harder to make those connections. Has anybody been successful with making a new friend, let's say through like a community organization, through church? What are some of your experiences with trying to make some of those friends? And V, if you want to, if you got some new friendship stories that you've made, you can go ahead and jump in too.
Tara, I was going to say, I did mention to my daughter, because my daughter, she's in college, and she's in her second year, and we were having a discussion, and she was like, oh, I thought me and my roommate would be a lot more closer. I thought that would be like my friend. And I told her, I said, well, it doesn't always happen that way. And it was a conversation that I had to have with her, because she was saying that it was difficult for her to make friends in college. So she had a ton of her friends that went to her high school, came to Ohio State with her, and her friend that she's had since she was 3 years old came to Ohio State with her, but she was looking to broaden her horizon of friends. And I had to tell her that, again, you have to be intentional. It's not like when you were in high school, oh, you're my friend because we have the same class, or you're my friend because you're friends with this friend, that type of thing. I said, it has to be intentional. And then me reminding her of that is making me, remember, hey, you're in the same predicament, you're making friends. And like you said, I am in a sorority, I am in other organizations. And, I'm glad that I have those, because coming here to Charlotte, I instantly had things to do. But, I haven't really developed those friendships outside of, we have a commonality that we're in the same organization, or, we volunteer at, in the same group. So I'm trying to be more intentional with, I've gotten contact information from people and being like, hey, we should go do something. And then it kind of like falls to the wayside. So I'm trying to be more intentional with reaching out to people. Hey, you remember we did this, you want to go and do something else? But it's kind of hard, when people are like, I don't know you like that. No, girl, it was good to see you that day. And then also, trying to date. So it's like I'm trying to date over here and trying to find friends. So it's just been, a little bit of you know, I have to keep giving myself that little boost of energy, that boost of confidence to keep doing it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to relate that to my daughter because I'm sitting here telling her stuff to do that I'm not even doing, but it's all right.
Found that when I got active, like at my girls' school, at our church, that like I did start creating friendships. But unfortunately, when we left those places, as friendships stopped. And I actually did think that I was being intentional, that like they were deep, they weren't superficial, that like, hey, we were rallying around something that we had in common. But like when I left, even though I tried to reach out, it was kind of like, well, we no longer go to the same church, or we no longer, like our kids are no longer in the same class. So there's no point in having this friendship anymore, even though those words weren't said. It's just kind of the feeling that it left with. And so I think too that like, as we're like trying to find friendships, that it can be hard too when like, cause like when we were kids, we did like friends were who were in the neighborhood or who we went to school with, or, you know, if we were in an after school activity. And so as adults, we tend to look in those same places. But then just like those childhood friends, when you transfer schools or you move to a different block and like those friendships don't make it, it can be the same thing in adulthood. And I think we sometimes forget that like when the commonality or the thread that binds us is the place that we like come together at, when that is no longer a thing, then like there's nothing for the friendship. And so for me, I have been trying to mourn those friendships and grieve them, but also appreciate them for what they were in that time in my life. And moving forward, being better at identifying what is the common thread of the friendship, because even I've trauma bonded with some people. And then when I've healed from my trauma, that friendship had nothing to stand on anymore because that person was still in their trauma. And so just being intentional of identifying like what's at the base and the foundation of the friendship. So then that way, as I go to different seasons, then like if that friendship doesn't carry into that next season, I can still appreciate it and not take it so personal.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. That was really good. That was
Can I
really.
ask her a question?
Oh yeah.
So like, is it Taja?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you made these friendships in these particular places like church or school, did you do things outside of those environments?
Yes, we had play dates, we did dinner, we celebrated holidays together, we went to birthday
Okay.
parties together, community events. We did all of that, and then it just stopped.
Yeah, I think that you said so many good things, but I think number one, it's okay when friendships end.
Yeah.
I think we have to be okay with that, just like it's okay when relationships end, like that, it happens. And if you've done all that you can do, you know, to salvage without compromising the core of who you are, then it's time to let it go. And then you said grieve. That's such a good practice that we don't put effort into grieving the loss before we can move on, because it does hurt. And that's vulnerability coming out to say like, yeah, it hurts because I miss this person. And then the trauma bonding, that was a good point, because we all do that. You know, we latch on because hurt is always louder than healing. And I don't know why that is, but when we're hurt, we find it's like we attract people that are hurting like us. So if we could flip that and attract and manifest it and draw to and pray for the women that are healed and the women that are healthy and the women that can take us further, you know what I mean, in friendship. I think that would be awesome. That should be my next book.
Look at you getting book ideas and everything. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. I like, again, you said so many amazing things. And I think that, as we're talking about and we're thinking about our friendships, putting ourselves out there to make friends. If we see somebody that, we feel like, okay, I met you at this event and we kind of clicked, and, maybe I don't have your number, but maybe I followed you on Instagram, and we kind of developed a little bit more of a relationship that way. When we find these people that we click with, it is a bit of a risk sometimes to like make the first move and like ask them out, as a friend, be like, hey, do you, like Kimberly said, like, do you want to go get coffee with me? Do you want to go? I heard this place has excellent tacos. You want to go get tacos with me? That is a risk, but I think that it's a risk well worth taking, because when we are able to put ourselves out there, I think it helps us manifest, those relationships that are going to be truly valuable to us. I don't know all of you, and I don't know all of your personal situations and your personal lives, but I know that all of us are carrying things that are heavy. We're all carrying things that have the potential to be overwhelming to us, as we're just, even just, the past 2 years alone have shown us that life can be so heavy. We're thinking about our jobs, we're thinking about the health of us and our loved ones, we're thinking about, the relationships that we're trying to nurture, just trying to figure out what the future looks like, dealing with our own like mental health stuff. Having friends there, and I always say this, I have friends who help me in certain areas. I have one friend who's like my entrepreneur bestie. We have a standing call. We've had a standing call every month since 2014, where we talk about what's going on in our business, what we're up to, the highs, the lows, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think I'd still be doing the suite if I didn't have her to bounce ideas off of and have her connect me with people, et cetera. I have another friend, we got married around the same time, so we've been kind of having the ups and downs of marriage at the same time. We have people who help us in certain areas of our life and help us kind of balance that weight so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. And I think that's what we gain the most when we are, saying, hey girl, you like tacos? I like tacos. Maybe we should go get some tacos together. And really trying to be intentional about that. I think that is the main thing.
And it is a risk to put yourself out there, especially at our big grown ages, but it also shows other women, it normalizes being nice. And it normalizes offering friendship, even if it's, for right now, surface or new. It normalizes that versus how we view it now is weird, and it shouldn't be. Yeah. When my oldest son was starting school, I'll never forget, he was nervous, as all little kids are. And his dad said, well, when you want to meet friends, you just go up to them and you say, hi, my name is Steven, let's go play. It's really that simple. But we've made it so hard, I guess because of life experiences or whatever. But it really is that simple.
It is simple. And I think the more that we do it too, the more that we do it, the more that we get comfortable with it, like the less weird it's going to be, or the less weird it's going to feel. I know that I have, one of the ways that I feel like I've been successful is that I've just really taken inventory of who I have, in my circle, right? So maybe the people who are, go on Facebook, look at my friends list. I think I did this maybe end of 2020, 2019, somewhere around there. And I looked at the people and I'm like, okay, who are my friends? Right? Like, I just wanted to get a sense. Went down Facebook. I think I have, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people I'm connected to on Facebook. And I'm just scrolling, just trying to see. And I'm like, okay, her. Like, I went through and I got maybe 20 people, right? Out of like that 1,000. 20 people that I would be like, I can call them. I can say, hey, how you doing? We can catch up. We can talk about real life stuff. And I just went through, I said 20 people. Of those 20 people, I said, okay, who would I like to get closer to? Like, who are those people that I think could make up like my core group of friends? And from that 20, I think I picked 3 that I was like, I'm going to really focus on these relationships over the next 2 years. Like, I'm going to ask them out. I'm going to try to make regular contact with them. I'm going to reach out and all of that. And it wasn't even a matter of like, I'm going to make this person my best friend. It was just like, these are good people. They've been in my orbit. They've shown me nothing but kindness in the time that I've known them. I think I can make something more of this. And over the past 2.5 years, I've been able to move those people from like good friends to like great friends. Like we are, I'll never forget, over the summer, my one friend, I think a couple of y'all may know, Dashika, she just started a new store in downtown Akron. And she had a presentation and she needed somebody to watch her daughter. Her daughter's almost 3. And she comes into the store with her every day. So she asked me if I could babysit. And I said, yeah, sure. I got time. I can babysit. I came down to get her to watch her daughter. And so she said, okay, the people are almost here. She was like, if you could take her next door and get her a slice of pizza, that would be great. I said, all right. So I had her daughter on my hip. And then she gave me her debit card and she was like, okay, just get her a pizza, get yourself a slice, whatever. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, we friends for real. Cause you gave me your baby and your debit card. Like we friends for real, for real. Like this, okay, she gave me your pen and everything. I was like, okay, we friends, like we besties, you know what I mean? Like your baby and your debit card. I was like, wow, like we really, over the past year, we have really been working on the friendship. Like when I got COVID in April, she was like, okay, boom, what kind of pizza do y'all like? I'm going to send you pizza for dinner tonight. So you don't have to think about cooking and all of that. So we have been able to forge this friendship. And it was really about me, I feel like, just narrowing down, just being like, okay, who do I already know? Who would I like to get closer to? Who has already shown me, kindness and all of the qualities that I want in a friend? I'm going to start there. That was the beginning of my journey for sure. Yes, that was the beginning of my journey. We could talk about this all night. I know that we're a little bit over time already, but I love this conversation. So I'm gonna let it go a couple more minutes. How do I want to put this question? As you all think about your friendships, and the support that you need going into 2023, what does that support look like for you? Do you need, that kind of like emotional support? Do you need that support where it's like, okay, I can let my hair down on these people. I need to have fun. My life has been too serious. It's been too stressful. I need to have fun. Is it more so, okay, I need people who can show up for me, when stuff gets hard and I need somebody to watch my baby, or I need somebody to, help me cook because I have, a big family get together or whatever. What does that support look like for you in 2023?
I think it looks like a combination of all of it, to be honest. With the friends that I have and the friends that I desire to make, one person can't be everything. So if you have a friend that is target for those ones that you can go to, you won't deplete them either. You won't empty their cups. And that way they stay filled, you stay filled, and then you even each other's out. And then you learn how to be that to another friend. So I think collectively, all of those things for me, and then learning how to know what to be to that friend, because like they said, we're in different seasons, and what my friend may need 5 years ago, maybe a month ago, she don't need now. In me, she needs this. And so picking up on that and learning how to show up for that. So that's what I've been doing with my friends lately, because like I said, we feel so out of sort, but the love is still there. So I always ask them, this is going on, how do I need to show up for you? What do you need? And sometimes they say, I don't know. Then I say, but this is what I have right now that I can give you. Is this enough? Or do you need more? And sometimes they're like, perfect, that's exactly what I need. I need this. So instead of assuming that I know how to show up for them now, I ask them, what do you need? What do you need? How can I show up for you? What does this look like for you? What does support look like? my friend's father had just passed away and she was just out of sort and his house needed to be taken care of. And I said, why don't you just ask all of us to pick a day to meet you over at your dad's house and clean your dad's house out for you? And I said, it could be trash bags. If we can't stay, show up somehow so you can get this done. You have a week. So all of us took a day out that week and we showed up, and it was times when she just couldn't go in the house, and that was fine. But by the time she did go in there, the house was empty and she had her stuff done. But at first she kept saying, I don't know what I'm doing every day, all day. And I was like, what do you need? And so that's what worked for me. That's what I would like to be, but I need to know how to learning how to execute it. It would be the biggest thing. But I think collectively, it would be all the things that you said.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I've been, so much of what you said, Maya, resonated with me. Just like being, like needing all of those things and trying to make sure that I'm also showing up in that way or in one of those ways for my friends and for my close friends. I think like over the years, I'm starting to get better at like making space for certain types of friendships and being okay that like this person is my friend for XYZ and I'm this person's friend for XYZ. I think that at some point I realized that not everyone can be everything to me and vice versa. Like I couldn't be everything to everyone else, but social media is so fake, but it's also like the thing that kind of like sometimes messes with your mind. Like sometimes I'll see like someone who I have a really strong bond with, and we do have like a stand-in date, you know, like we'll do like Friday happy hour, or we'll have like a monthly date or bi-monthly dinner or something like that, especially my friends who are close by. And then I'll see them with like doing something with someone else. And sometimes I'm like, am I as intentional with them? Like, are they closer with that person? Like, you know, like, is that okay? Like, and I've gotten to this point where I'm starting to catch myself when that happens and remind myself that it is actually okay for my friends to have friendships that are meaningful in a different way, and because I also have friendships that are meaningful in a different way as well. But it's that I think like for the most part, there was a time in my life where it made me feel like my friendships weren't as intentional as they could have been or should have been, and I've tried to listen to that and try to figure out like, well, what does that mean that I'm missing? Or what does that mean that I need? And or sort of like check that and realize like, maybe I am getting everything that I need and I'm just like, I don't know, like feeding into this like random weird social media craze because it is kind of fake.
Yeah, social media is interesting because you'd be like I see my friends sometimes out with the other friends, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like for real?
And then, you know, and I had such a long time where I just doubted, like, are we as cool as I thought? Like, or am I being as intentional with this person as I thought I was, and vice versa? But I don't know.
Yeah. Social media can be, it's a gift and a curse sometimes, you know, it's a gift and a curse. I feel like I met a lot of really cool people like you through social media and online and everything. And like you and I met, August wasn't even born yet. Like he was.
I know. As I said, it's his birthday. I was like, I definitely met Tara before I had August. So that was definitely like maybe 9 years ago, maybe even more than that. Yeah.
So, because I remember Aiden was small. So yeah, we'd have known each other for a long time, thanks to social. But yeah, I sent out also in the email, and hopefully maybe you all had a chance to read it, but the one friendship expert that I mentioned, Kat Bellows, she has this really in-depth article about taking those online acquaintances and turning them into like real friends that you can, reach out to and depend on, et cetera, et cetera. So that link is in that email for you to kind of read through and kind of just see if you want to take her advice on doing that. Maybe kind of just looking at your own, Facebook friend list and saying, who are some of these people here? How do I know them? Do I like them in that way, to try to make them something a little bit deeper, a little bit more personal? And I think that'll be helpful. And then also, as I mentioned at the top of this, I would love to do a little matchmaking. I think I did this the end of last year, where I just kind of connected people who were like, hey, I'm interested in being friends with somebody else or meeting some new people. So be on the lookout. I have everybody's email. Be on the lookout for those. Hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of the week, I'll be able to make those matches. I don't think I have anything else. Valencia, do you have anything that you would like to share? Any closing words on friendship?
Yeah, friendships are so near and dear to me. I don't have like a big family, but I have a big friendship group. I call them my family. So it's so important to me, and my heart's desire is just that every woman has someone in their corner, as their friend, someone that they can talk to and that they can be intentional and vulnerable with, and that person returns the favor, and that you all learn to love each other in your own languages. So I hope and pray that everybody, maybe the matchmaking thing, I don't know, but that everybody comes away with that, because it's just needed. We need each other. We need each other.
We do.
And thank you so much for having me. I have so basked in this conversation. I love stuff like this. So thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm glad that we were finally able to make the connection and get the date on the calendar and just do it. So
yes,
very happy. Well, thank you all. I appreciate this so much. Be on the lookout again for that email about the matchmaking. But yeah, after this week, I'm going on sabbatical. So I will be back. I'll be off brainstorming, daydreaming, all of that stuff for the suite in 2023. And I'll be back in January. And hopefully it's my goal to do another round of the Make Room tour in person. My goal is to do East Coast and the South. So hopefully a lot of you people have heard Atlanta and North Carolina and all of that. Hopefully I'll be able to see you there. So that is my plan. And again, keep praying for your girl with these grants, because I have been sending out grants like crazy. And hopefully I can get some of these brilliant ideas funded. And we can do more matchmaking, more events, more opportunities to bring us together, because they really do feed me. Like B said, like this is so good. Like I always get hype at the end of these. I never really go to sleep. So I'm gonna be up for a minute, but I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday. I think Abbott Elementary's on tonight. Go watch Abbott Elementary, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Night.